So on the channel today, we have to cover some sad news, something that happened. Roy Horn has passed away. We're going to give some other good news after that. And we're going to kind of try our best in a way from somebody who never saw the show, but understands the significance of what Sigfried and Roy meant to Las Vegas to kind of talk about that. I might go down to the Mirage tomorrow just to say that I'm in front of the statue. There's a statue on the strip. But it's a time right now to take a look at that, plus 4 pieces of positive news after we have to get over the negative news. Now, I could hold the negative news to the end, knowing full well that's what many of you guys came here for, but this isn't an appropriate time to do something like that. That is a YouTube tactic, and that is why a lot of these video bloggers have 10 minutes of mishmash and stuff like that before they get to the punchline. But my name is Steven. I am not leaving Las Vegas. I'm a Vegas blogger. I'm going to talk about the news, and then once all this opens up on the strip, we're going to also talk about cool Vegas stuff and do little mini documentaries, and it's going to be great. But today, we're going to talk about the news, sad news today. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. What did Sigfried and Roy do and mean to you? This would be the time where I promote all my different ways to support, but just like, share, subscribe, hit the bell today, because none of that seems all that significant in light of what's going on. And those free things are just very helpful, so I ask you to do those. All right, so Roy Horn broke the news yesterday. It broke the news a few weeks ago that, or maybe it was only a week ago, that he was sick with C19. And we're going to say C19 on the channel just because even saying the words, sometimes people get mad and they send me emails and they say that it gets them upset because they had a family member or something like that that had to deal with it. So I got my neighbors doing their morning walks. It's fun to see that. That's a positive since this all happened. People are walking and getting their exercise in. But Roy Horn, part of Sigfried and Roy, you of course have Sigfried and Roy Horn. Now, he is the gentleman in Sigfried and Roy that, if you remember, in 2003 was mauled. I'm not going to say attacked because it's controversial what really happened, whether or not he was attacked or whether or not the animal was preventing him because he was having a stroke, or whether or not you believe the guy that went on the TMZ and says that he was mistreating the animals. It's so convoluted. When the time is right, I'm sure I'll explore it here in a little mini documentary on the channel. But he got mauled, and in 2003. Turns out, like, I was reading some research last night, he passed away. He flatlined in the hospital, so in 2003, let me just back up a little bit. In 2003, at the Mirage, where Sigfried and Roy were actually signed to a lifetime contract, they performed over 5,000 shows in their career. Roy Horn was 75 when he passed. His partner Sigfried is actually 81 at this point. So they've been performing for their whole lives with this stuff. Manticore, which was a giant, huge, exotic tiger, he actually mauled Roy. And the show was stopped, obviously. He was airlifted by Trauma Air and Rescue to the UMC Hospital, University Medical Center, over on, if I'm not mistaken, this is what I was told at one point. He was airlifted to the hospital. It's one of the only trauma centers in this whole region. So if you're in, like, say, Bullhead City, Arizona, or in Laughlin, that's where you're going. Or if you're in Mesquite, they're going to airlift you there. He was brought to that one over on West Charleston, over by the 15 interstate, and he flatlined apparently on the table. The doctors managed to bring him back. He went through severe rehabilitation efforts to a point where I read a report in 2018 he wasn't able to walk. He had a nurse helping him with everything, but he was a survivor. Sigfried and Roy, they did another one-time only show in 2009, 6 years afterwards, with Manticore in the show. That was the name of the tiger that had mauled him. And to this date, they were raising money for the Lou Revo Institute, which is that funky-looking building in downtown Las Vegas by the Outlet Center. And to this point, they have their Sigfried and Roy's animal habitat. I've talked about that several times on the channel. That's a great place for you guys to go see these animals in a habitat that's not like a Joe Exotic type zoo, where they have proper handlers, and it's a beautiful place on the strip at the Mirage. But it can't be said enough, the significance of what is going on here with the show. So you got to remember, put yourself in a time 35 years ago. like 30, 35 years ago, there's no internet. Well, I mean, there's bulletin board systems, but it's not what it is today. You can't instantly click a button on your phone and see all of this crazy entertainment that's happening in Las Vegas. And there's trailers that might be on television during the Super Bowl, maybe, if somebody spent the money for that kind of stuff. But there's not a way to get a message out so instantaneously across a huge broad spectrum. So when something like Sigfried and Roy comes around and it gets picked up and reviewed in newspapers all around the country, all around the world, and this amazing show in Las Vegas exists that this guy Steve Wynn's casino Mirage has, it gave the city this standing in stature that put the production number and the quality and the value of the show up there with anything you could see in LA in their theater district, or London or New York City. This massive over-the-top spectacle of a show that brought people to Las Vegas just to see the show. Sound familiar? Because flash forward, you know, into the 90s, we had people coming for the free things that you had to see in Las Vegas. So it went from, you know, the internet now, all the way back then, it was just word of mouth, and it was something special. So they were signed on a lifetime contract at the Mirage. I mean, meaning that they were going to perform until they retired there. There was none of this whole, like, Chris Angel likes to go from casino to casino, and Terry Fader was stepping away so they could give the stage to somebody else. No, the Mirage was that confident that this show was going to be there for life, and that they identified so synonymously with the Mirage, and the Mirage was Sigfried and Roy, and Sigfried and Roy was the Mirage, that, as I mentioned, they built statues of them. They're right in front of the public bus stop, right in front of the Mirage, where the Mirage turns in, and you have the Treasure Island right next door, the TI. And yeah, they were entertainers for life. And to the end, you can't really find a lot of people that give really bad stories about Sigfried and Roy. They weren't polarizing figures, you know. They were two people that brought a lot of value and a lot of entertainment to Las Vegas, and helped propel it, like Elvis Presley helped propel Vegas as a place for entertainers, to a place where production numbers can exist for a long time, and for entertainers to go and get a world global audience. And that's what I have to say about Sigfried and Roy. So, Roy Horn, rest in peace, he's 75 years old. Complications due to C19. And all of these celebrities and all of these very important people from politics are coming out. We have Carolyn Goodman, Steve Sisolak, Carrot Top, David Hasselhoff, Maria Shriver, Arnold Schwarzenegger's former wife, who was, I think, a news reporter in the media, who all these people who knew Sigfried and Roy in the past, all coming out to give their respects and pay their respects. So that's what happened. That's a bummer. That's not good, and that is sad. And with that, I do have an obligation to report something else, right? So I thought, well, I'm going to give you that with my ideas about what I think about what that meant to the city. And then we're going to talk about a few other things. Now, number one, Las Vegas and Nevada has had the lowest jump in overnight cases of C19 in 6 weeks. This is all positive stuff from here on in, so thank you for watching about Roy. The lowest jump in cases in 6 weeks. We went 43 cases overnight, and it's a total of 5,884 cases in the state with 301 deaths. There are some weird numbers that are reporting from some local health districts here. They said there just might be a little a little glitch in the system, but this is a good thing, okay? So we got three good things that actually kind of just play into each other, and then one weird thing at the end, or yeah, so that's how that goes. Now, 6 weeks since May 24th hasn't been that good. That's a good thing. So we are flattening the curve. Of course, everything today, May 9th, everything kind of opens up at half capacity if they have the employees to do it, if they choose to do it. If they don't choose to do it, they don't have to open. Nobody's going to hate on them or give them repercussions for that. Next up, infection rate is declining as more people get tests. Well, we kind of knew this was going to happen, and people have been saying this is going to happen, and a lot of folks have been saying, hey, you realize when you look for something, you find it. Right now, we're not able to look for the virus, so we can't see who's actually infected. At a time, there was not a lot of test kits. You go to the hospital, they might not have any test kits for you. Well, at a time, that was a problem. Now we're at a point where if you get sick, you can go to the Walmart pharmacy or the drive-thru over in North Las Vegas. I believe there's another testing center opening this week. I can't remember the name, but I'll report on it when I find it, and when I do find it. But when you test a person who says, I have a weird tightness in my chest and a little fever, that's fine. That person can go home, they can stay in their house for 2 weeks, they can stay away from other people, and they're going to be one of the 90+%, if it's like 95% of people that recover from this. And then when you only test people who are severely ill, those people oftentimes pass away because of complications. So the infection rate dropping precipitously, which is a good thing. We're going to find out more and more as more people get tested, and if anybody has access to a test, that's a good thing. Number 4, antibody testing starts in May for people in Las Vegas, Nevada, and all the state, for people who are frontliners. And the hope that they can find here is that, pursuant to the last point, the infection rate is dropping as more people who feel sick get tested. Turns out they don't have it. And so the more tests we have, they say X amount tested versus X amount of cases. Now we can say the antibody, okay, the antibody tests shows if you've had it and you were asymptomatic, or if you had it and you were not asymptomatic, you had some symptoms, but it didn't put you off your feet. You were able to live your regular life for a long time, and you didn't have to go to the hospital. That'll be happening for frontline workers like emergency medical technicians, paramedics, hospital personnel, people who have worked around the ill for a very long time. So we're going to find out more and more to see who's had it. It's like drawing a roadmap. At first you don't know where you are, and as you explore, this is what the old explorers did, they would be able to map out where they've been and what it looks like going forward to help other people better understand what they're going into. The last thing that we're going to talk about on the news is a weird thing. ATMs around the Las Vegas Valley, and I'm sure the state of Nevada, are empty. I know on May 1st, I went to go to a bank machine to get money to pay my rent. I pay my rent cash to the person who I rent the place from. There was no money in the machine. That was strange, right? Sneezed on camera. That's embarrassing, right? So empty ATMs. There's a story in the Review Journal about people who can't get their money out of the bank machine because when you get on unemployment in the state of Nevada, the state gives you a debit card. I got a debit card from Bank of America. I imagine they get paid money when I get that card, but I didn't get anything because I'm a gig worker, and that's all a giant mess. We'll talk about it another day on the channel. So the ATMs are empty because so many people are hitting up the ATMs to withdraw their unemployment money. That's not really happened before. So no, it's not a run on the banks if you've been to the bank and there's no money in the cash till, so you can't get the money out of the cash machine. It's just that there are so many people that have to access that money to pay their bills that they can't pay with a debit or a check card. So if you have your rent, for example, you got to get it somewhere. You can't exactly tell your rent place. I tell you what, the last 4 digits of my Visa ending in 4237, why don't you just charge that card? It usually doesn't work like that. And since there's no checking accounts attached to these debit cards, you can't exactly pay with an e-check online either. So that was a strange one for me, and I thought that would throw it in as a lighter side of things. So we had some pretty heavy, serious news on the channel today, followed by some lighter side of thing news. I hope that you guys learned something out of the video. If you guys want to go ahead and like, share, subscribe, leave us a comment. You want to come on over to Facebook on the group to talk. Those are all things you can do. I want to thank you guys for watching. My name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. I'm a Vegas blogger. I'm just out of side note. I'm recording this on a different camera. I hope you guys like the camera. Hope the quality turns out okay for you. We'll catch you guys in another video. You're rock stars for watching. This is the time of the video where I say 3, 2, 1, click, and my camera's real far away this time, so I got to reach over. And I say 3, 2, 1.